Oh my gosh, what is this? Is this a WarCraft 3 game? Yes, it is. Here we have Yumiko spawning as the blue human player over here at the 7 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have Lucifer spawning as the pink undead here at the 4 o'clock position. So this is going to be undead versus human. Welcome everyone to this game. It's been a while since I've cast a WarCraft 3 game, and I hope you guys enjoy it. You can see a barracks and a farm currently being placed down by Yumiko at this time for now. Hopefully I do not read his name as 5 sheep. I don't quite understand why you would ever change your name as opposed to the player who is actually representing, but it is a little bit confusing here. We are going for an Altar of Darkness and a Crypt with the Ziggurat. Meanwhile, back over here, we are not... we are speed building the Altar of Kings. Never mind. So we are going to be speed building that Altar of Kings. We'll be getting a hero out early. And it is, in fact, going to be the Mountain King. So not the Archmage, the Mountain King. And we'll see how that Mountain King does. That Mountain King, not nearly as strong during the early portion of the game. A little bit more difficult to creep. But towards the later portion of the game, when you start adding a Paladin and even perhaps a Blood Mage, the level 3 Stormbolt just absolutely wrecks Undead, able to Stormbolt and I believe take down a Ghoul with one Stormbolt, and then all you really have to do is just continue to Stormbolt there. It looks like apparently it is a Shanghai host. Yes, unfortunately the WarCraft 3 BattleNet system not quite as good as the StarCraft 2. Takes me forever to find the proper maps, and this game is now underway. We are going to be having that Mountain King pop out in just a moment with one footman. The footman now making his way out, trying to do some scouting as well, as we are also seeing the Acolyte scout. So an Acolyte scouting in one direction and a Mountain King and a footman out to scout as well. And it looks like we should be getting some militia. Yes, a militia now being called in from behind. And this should work out fairly well as the militia deal normal damage, able to take down those Null Wardens very, very easily. That one footman now trying to tank as much damage as possible. Now getting some damage over there as we are going to get one Null Warden down very quickly, another Null Warden down very quickly. And all that is left is a Null Overseer, the Mountain King of Yumiko, getting very, very lucky that the Acolyte has not scouted in the correct direction. Death Knight now coming over. He does have the Rod of Necromancy, and he will be able to perhaps get some Stormbolts off, or sorry, some Death Coils off. And now here we go, Yumiko, Lucifer now coming in, and the Death Knight being forced to try to run away. It looks like there are going to be some low hit point peasants, down to 32 hit points there, but lucking out. And now the Rod of Necromancy bringing up 2 skeletal minions to try to lay down some pressure. Death Knight now coming up that ramp in just a moment. The Mountain King trying to get to level 2 as quickly as possible. Does have a Ring of Protection +2. So we'll be able to absorb a little bit more damage as that Arcane Tower about to be completed. As soon as that Arcane Tower is done, it is going to be very, very easy to try to handle these skeletons over here, as the Mountain King now sitting at level 2, already going to finish off this Null Brute over here. The skeletal minions not going to really be able to deal all too much, as the militia able to finish off that final battle there. Death Knight, I do not believe, has any experience just quite yet. And the Mountain King doing a good job with the pathing there, making sure that those peasants are able to return home, and now giving and feeding more experience to that Mountain King. Death Knight still sitting at 0 experience, but as you guys have seen in an Undead player, the Undead player able to creep out very, very quickly after getting a large amount of lumber. You can see the amount of ghouls now making their way out, and it looks like the backpack was also researched as well, as now we see a footman trying to put some pressure here. The Halls of the Dead unable to attack right now, as there are no ghouls here, so this one footman may be able to actually cause a little bit of delay in terms of mining there. One ghoul being forced to finally come back over here. A ghoul versus a footman, the ghoul will win, especially on Blight, not creep, on Blight, as the Mountain King now continuing to just try to creep out as quickly as possible. Now quickly going over to that Ogre Magi, now getting in a nice bash there and getting in some damage. Meanwhile, back over here, we are getting the Arcane Tower, and ghouls now surrounding the Arcane Tower. That is going to be a bit of a problem, as those peasants are not going to be able to repair there. And down goes the Arcane Tower, so the Death Knight already getting a little bit of damage here straight into the base, as the ghouls are now trying to battle it out. Level 3 on that Mountain King about to come into play there. There you go, leaving the Manual of Health behind. And now the peasants, what are these? I do not quite know why all those units were trying to run away there. We do have, in comes a Stormbolt, down goes one of those ghouls. 2 of those ghouls should get taken down. Down they go. The Mountain King now out for some ghoul blood. Should be able to get off another Stormbolt onto another unit there. Just waiting for the cooldown, but the pathing just beautifully done. Mountain King should be able to get some damage. Down goes another ghoul there. That Mountain King, a one-man wrecking crew, trying to take down as many units as possible, as another ghoul back over here going to get taken down. Down it goes, as now the Death Knight still seeing that level 1. This is a definite problem. No towers here, as we are now speed building a lumber mill. That couldn't be right. Back over here, we now see a Nerubian tower coming in to try to detract any additional damage there, as the Mountain King unable to get anything serious. We now finally have that lumber mill being placed down over here. Much better positioning to try to increase the lumber harvesting, as the skeletal minions just going after peasant, able to take them down rather quickly. More peasants now coming over, as we are now upgrading to tier 2, trying to get to the keep. Death Knight now going to do some shopping there, picking up a staff of teleportation. The Mountain King trying to give chase, unable to catch up, as that Death Knight is slightly faster even without that unholy aura. There you go. In comes a Stormbolt there, trying to get us around. Oh, getting a lucky bash there. And now the Footman unable to catch up, as that Death Knight is riding a horse. And now fighting back over here, we are building a scout tower now, trying to build it a little bit further away. I believe that one militia in a very, very nice position, making it rather difficult for that one skeletal minion to try to catch up to him. And now that peasant able to force to pull back once more. You can see that the Death Knight making sure that there is no expansion here at the 10 o'clock location, as both players are running off of one base. Taking a look at the current food count, 29 over 36, very, very small compared to 18 over 40. I don't know really what the strategy of Lucifer is at this time, as the Death Knight now looking to perhaps come in and get some more damage. It looks like he just wants to try to tech up as quickly as possible and then perhaps get a lot of damage. And oh, nicely done. The skeletal minion just coming in, getting a lot of damage, and now level 2 finally on that Death Knight. Unholy aura joining in, as that one skeletal minion gonna finally get taken down. Another peasant taken down there, as we now see more footmen creeping away from that Mountain King. The Mountain King should be getting awfully close to level 4. Yes, has a dust of appearance and a staff of teleportation in addition to that boots of speed. Will be able to catch up and hunt down any of those ghouls rather easily. Back over here, we are going into a slaughterhouse. Are we going into a double slaughterhouse? Yes, we are. So we are going to be having obsidian statues and perhaps destroyers, as we are also going into Black Citadel. Lucifer doesn't have that much gold in the bank at this time, but the Mountain King, on the other hand, gonna get up to level 4 rather quickly. Not as critical as level 5, as all it will really give is an additional plus one skill training in Bash. And it looks like that Mountain King getting a little bit lucky with that Bash attempt. And down goes that Null Overseer, picking up a Circlet of Nobility, +2 on every stat. Skeletal Minion is now still wandering around, and so far it really feels like Lucifer doesn't have a game strategy or a game plan just quite yet. You can see that the Obsidian statue now healing up and giving more mana back to the Death Knight over here, as the Mountain King is now coming in for a bit of pressure, as the Mountain King able to slip through, storm bolting after one of those ghouls already. Down goes one ghoul, a low hit point footman gonna get focused down there in just a moment, as the Mountain King unable to really engage in that battle. Very, very nicely placed down, and now really just a weird play by Yumiko. Yumiko cannot be engaging here, and now he's just feeding experience to that Death Knight. Death Knight getting awfully close to level 3, as that one footman now down to 99 hit points. You can see trying to bash, trying to finish off those skeletal minions there. The Mountain King doesn't want to waste mana onto those units there, and getting another quick bash. Back over here, we are getting more units. Altar of Kings is not training anything else, as we are going into a double Griffin Aviaries. So perhaps it will either be Dragonhawks or Griffins. I would assume that it is Dragonhawks, as Dragonhawks do deal piercing damage. The Griffins may come into play as well, just to try to deal with the Obsidian statues. But as soon as they become destroyers, as we are going to get destroyer form, those units are immune to magic, and that is not going to work out well. Skeletal minions once again charging straight in. Nothing that these these guard towers cannot take care of. And one of the recent changes, the guard towers have 550 hit points, as opposed to 600 off of the level 1 masonry upgrade. The Staff of Teleportation now returning home, as that Mountain King was trying to make sure that the Obsidian statue stays in play there. And now there are going to be one Obsidian statue trying to absorb mana, another Obsidian statue, and then absorbing mana once more. So this is going to be a lot of Obsidian statues there. You can see the amount of energy on the destroyers already. Those destroyers deal splash damage and deal much more damage as well. As I need to pause this for a second. All right, let me get back to the game. Someone was at the door. Destroyers now coming in. Destroyers have a lot of mana on them, a couple of them, and they will be able to get a decent amount of splash damage. And in comes the Death Knight, already getting a quick scroll there, and now quickly taking down the guard towers. The guard towers trying to be repaired, but you can see that splash damage and how much damage is already being dealt. Those Destroyers coming in, getting so much damage in already, and now the Mountain King and the Ghouls now coming in as well. This is going to be a bit of a problem. The Destroyer is low on hit points there, but there's nothing to really counter them as the Death Knight, as the Destroyers with that energy just absolutely destroying the space. The Death Knight staying in the back, making sure to just try to death coil those Destroyers and keep them in the game as long as possible. The Death Knight now trying to run away from that Mountain King. Mountain King has boots of speed. In comes another Stormbolt. Mountain King needs to get rather lucky with those bashes. And is he going to be able to stun him? Yes, able to stun him and stop it. That was absolutely huge with that bash. Another Stormbolt now quickly coming in. And I believe that was a scroll of Town Portal being used instead of the Staff of Teleportation. And nicely done, making sure to be invulnerable right before that Stormbolt hit. Currently, Yumiko sitting at 41 over 42 food. Meanwhile, Lucifer sitting at 42 over 50. And now out comes another Obsidian statue to try to heal up the rest of these Destroyers and give mana back to that Death Knight. The Death Knight going to come back in and come in with a vengeance. As we are we going into another hero yet? No secondary heroes just quite yet. We do have currently one Death Knight that has the Orb of Corruption, so he will be able to attack some of those Dragonhawk Riders that are in the air. Where are they? Back over here. Yeah, Dragonhawk Riders in the air. The Dragonhawk Riders do deal piercing damage, but the problem is going to be how much life is on those Destroyers. Those Destroyers are essentially only take a minimal amount of damage, and in comes the Destroyers. The Destroyers now quickly coming in. A Stormbolt on a Ghoul. Ghoul now taken down, but Destroyers now coming back into the air, and because of that splash damage on those attacks, even though it does only deal magic damage, they do need to pull back here. We are getting some towers now placed down by Yumiko at the 9 or 10 o'clock expansion location, and that should definitely help out. The Mountain King, however, wandering around trying to gain up as much energy off or as much mana as possible, as those Dragonhawks are just there to try to simply delay as much as possible. It looks like another Stormbolt onto the low hit point Death Knight there. Both sides battling it out, but unfortunately getting caught with a slow by the Mud Golem. Down it goes as well, as now the Mountain King now down to 75 mana, only has enough for one more Stormbolt, and that is it. He does have a potion of mana, so he will be able to get enough energy rather quickly, as the now, Death Knight dangerously low on hit points, quickly takes, a potion of invulnerability, beautifully used at just the right time. And somehow Lucifer able to stay in this game by popping those potions and getting invulnerability at just the right moment continually. The Mountain King dangerously low on hit points as well, as it looks like, yes, we are going to have a couple of those Destroyers lost due to Ensnare. So Ensnare giving level 5 to that Mountain King, level 3 Stormbolt, and that is absolutely huge, folks. We do have a couple guard towers, scout towers in play over here. These will all get quickly destroyed as the Mountain King slowly leveling up. He does have a Staff of Teleportation as well. And why isn't that Ogre Warrior getting shot down? The Mountain King at level 5 cannot gain any additional experience. Doesn't matter at all. But now Lucifer trying to get up and as quickly as possible, just trying to level up as fast, and now going after the Troll Warlords. I do not understand why he's not devouring that bonus buff there, as in comes another Stormbolt, and now the Death Knight down to 126 hit points, trying to escape, down to 86. Will he be able to escape? No, he is not going to be able to, and that was huge. The Mountain King currently sitting at level 5, almost level 6 now, as the Dragonhawk Riders are going after one of those lower hit point Destroyers. Destroyer down to 14 hit points. I believe they have the same movement speed, but the Dragonhawk Rider actually maybe a little bit faster there. It does take a little bit of time for the Dragonhawk Riders to catch up before they can actually hit. Perhaps they should be microed just a little bit better there, as we are now going into another guard tower. More damage still being dealt to these Destroyers. The Destroyers, however, do have that level 1 weapons upgrade. And with towers nearby, I do not think the Dragonhawk Riders want to engage at all. No, doesn't want to engage, deciding to finally back off. We are getting some peasants now making their way over. Mountain King still using those clarity potions very effectively, as Yumiko very, very strong in his positioning so far. We are getting that resurrection on that Death Knight. Meanwhile, no additional heroes just quite yet. Both players running off of one hero so far, as now the Dragonhawk Rider is getting even more and more damage. However, that Mountain King has to be very careful. He cannot just try to barge straight into that army battle there, as the Destroyer is getting in so much damage, continually just pecking the back of that Mountain King. Mountain King, however, able to run away. And now it looks like he is trying to use a Dust of Appearance. He's looking for a shade. It doesn't see one. Is there even a sacrificial pit? No sacrificial pit to spot. So no real reason to try to use that Dust of Appearance. Back home, though, this is a very big surprise. Oh, there's the Arcane Vault. Our Arcane Vault is right there. I thought it was taken down, and perhaps he didn't rebuild it. He definitely needs it for the scroll, the healing scrolls. They are healing the rest of his Dragonhawk Riders. And this is one of those questions on whether or not Yumiko should go to Tier 3. Tier 3 would definitely give him the Animal War Training, giving Animal War Training, increasing the Dragonhawk Riders' hit points up to, I believe, 700. And that is a significant amount. Also, it would allow for Tri-Hero, and I'm really surprised that Yumiko has not gone into the Tri-Hero build yet, or at least Dual Hero. A Blood Mage or a Paladin would just do wonders in this ability, or in the army already, as the Holy Light would deal an additional 100 damage. And now in comes the Mountain King, one more. Mountain King now coming in to deal some more damage, as the Death Knight, and the Death Knight also sitting at level 5 as well, also has a Sobi Mask, so that is going to be huge, able to get off a lot of death coils and perhaps keep in this game. We are going to have, where are these units going? The units now trying to finally make their way in. Death Knight or Mountain King absorbing a lot of damage there, and these Dragonhawk Riders are not going to be able to do very much at all. It looks like it's going to be a push instead, as the Destroyer is now coming in, and oh, one poor Dragonhawk Rider simply out of position and going to get easily destroyed off of a death coil, long distance death coils, and just taking it down once more. Here we have the Dragonhawk Riders, and I believe the Mountain King did come back. Oh, perfect timing on a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability once again, saving himself from the 300 damage or 375 damage that Stormbolt would have dealt, as we are now going into even more and more towers. Level 2 Masonry upgrades have been completed, I believe. Yes, level 2 Masonry upgrades. Now the guard towers with 600 hit points each. And all Yumiko needs to do is just start mining off of this gold mine here and trying to get a stronger bank. In comes a Dust of Appearance onto a Death Knight. The Death Knight desperately trying to run away and taking another Stormbolt in the back. This is horrible, horrible news. The Death Knight with the Scroll of Town portal able to once again run away and live and fight another day. Mountain King deciding to back off. Hero-wise, we finally see a Paladin now joining the ranks. Meanwhile, over here, we are getting a Lich as well. So it is going to be both heroes going into a 2-hero play at just the right time. Perhaps we will see some Frost Nova. These Destroyers unable to take down the Rock Golem. The Rock Golem is immune to magic, so he doesn't take any additional damage there, as we are now getting the Mountain King making its way out. That Clarity Potion going to quickly get dispelled, as the Mountain King looking for a fresh new target to Stormbolt. 311 mana already, now trying to make its way around the map. But the Destroyers are just giving chase continually. Back here, we do have, one Acolyte, and no real places to set up an expansion. That is going to be the problem for Lucifer, as Lucifer definitely needs to expand at some point. He cannot live off of just one base alone. He has about 3.5 minutes left of mining to go, as the Paladin looking to do some creeping. And while the Paladin sitting at level 1 can finally creep out these Rock Golems over here, they're going to be able to creep out rather quickly, as the Mountain King just keeping track and keeping tabs of the army all across the area. We are going to get in comes the Paladin now. The Paladin quickly taking down the 2 spellcasters in the group, trying to keep up the rest of this army alive as long as possible. Wants to get to level 2 on that Paladin if he can. And if he does get to level 2, with the Tome of Experience being left behind and a Sobi Mask, absolutely huge items to be left behind. That one Paladin now will be awfully close to level 3 already, as the Lich now coming in. There is a lot of towers already, but those towers quickly falling down, as there is a lot of mana to be had. The Mountain King now quickly trying to come in, Stormbolting. Oh, but getting a Death Coil onto the wrong unit. The Lich desperately low on hit points, getting in a bash, and that Lich desperately down to 62 hit points. Another Death Coil coming in, saving that unit there. The Mountain King now dangerously low on hit points as well, as the towers are now being repaired. Both sides trying to battle it out. In come the Dragonhawk Riders. Dragonhawk Riders obviously unable to get any shackle down onto them, as a potion of, or sorry, the Divine Shield now being cast, and that's going to be a bit of an issue there. Are we going to get perhaps another Stormbolt onto those hero units? The Lich now down to already 258 hit points. Another Stormbolt could be coming in and trying to go after one another. You can see just how low that Lich is. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability once again used, and now the Death Knight is dangerously low on hit points. Both sides still battling it out, with a Frost Nova hitting multiple Dragonhawk Riders and a Stormbolt in the face of the Death Knight. Death Knight being forced to pull back once more, as the Death Knight looks to try to death coil some of his other dragon or any of his destroyers. The destroyers now backing off once more, and perhaps the Death Knight should try to heal up some of his destroyers. The destroyers are rather low on hit points. He does have enough mana for it, so yeah, that destroyer down to 400 hit points there would be a decent and safe call. Once again, now trying to battle it out. The destroyers are quickly going after some additional units there. We are seeing, excuse me, the Dragonhawk Riders once again trying to re-engage. Mountain King and Paladin pushing their way out. Level 5 on the Mountain King, level 2 on the Paladin. So we may be getting the Avatar in just a moment, and perhaps even level 3 Holy Light. Sobi Mask still on that Paladin. It should perhaps be given to the Mountain King. The Mountain King definitely has more mana, and it's a 50% increase, so it actually gives more mana to the Mountain King per a minute. Back over here, we can see that the Death Knight seeing that level 5 and now level 2 on the Lich, and now in comes the battle. Oh, quickly may end up losing a lot of those Dragonhawk Riders. Both sides now trying to engage there, quickly losing that Mud Golem, and then another perfect timed Potion of Lesser Invulnerability to try to absorb another Stormbolt, and beautifully done still. Mountain King now trying to catch up, but another long distance Stormbolt, nothing to save it this time around, and the Dragonhawk Riders quickly going after the Death Knight. Death Knight down to 185 hit points already. Nothing can save it. Down it goes. Level 6 on the Mountain King. And now that is going to be a very uphill battle. Destroyers now battling it out. The Mountain King and the Paladin unfortunately does not have any of those Orb of Fires without the level 3 castle, and the Mountain King just trying to get ahead of that Lich. As soon as that Potion of Lesser Invulnerability ends, that Lich is going to get quickly taken down, and there's the GG by Lucifer. So Yumiko taking this game here on Twisted Meadows. A really, really long, drawn-out battle. A couple of times I thought Lucifer really had it in the game. Those timings on those Potion of Lesser Invulnerabilities were absolutely clutch, depleting 75 mana and then absorbing the damage, wasting the cooldown. So yes, Yumiko winning this game against Lucifer on Twisted Meadows. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this WarCraft 3 cast.